righty. Thank you so much for coming out to my panel. My name is Sean Chandler. I run a YouTube channel called Sean Chandler Talks About, where I talk about movies. If you were wanting some clarification on it, it's even on that guy's shirt right there. So he's wearing an amazing shirt. But I started my YouTube channel on a whim in the summer of 2016. My wife and I went on a date night to go see the new Lady Ghostbusters. This is the actual selfie that we took. We took it with Snapchat, so built right into it are the goofy faces for this date that changed the trajectory of my life. But so we went to go see Lady Ghostbusters, and the internet had kind of had an interesting reaction to the film. One group of people was like, if you like this film, it means you're a moron. And the other half of the internet was like, if you don't like this film, it's because you're a sexist bigot. And I was like, wow, those are two extreme options. Maybe there's something in the middle. And on a whim, I just decided to post a review the next day using a webcam, just sitting in a random room in my house. My dog is actually on the couch behind me in this video. Just kind of went for it, didn't think anything of it. And as it turns out, that changed the trajectory of my life. 2.5 years later, I went full-time on YouTube, and it's made for some cool opportunities where I've been able to run some red carpets, where I interviewed Taika Waititi right before Jojo Rabbit came out. And I've gone to at least one press tour deal where I got to interview the star of the new Terminator movie and promptly embarrassed myself. So,
well, thank you for interviewing me. Or excuse me, that's right. I'm interviewing you.
So if you didn't catch that, I showed up to interview the new guy playing the new Terminator and thanked him for interviewing me. My first time ever getting to go to a press junket, first thing that I said to big celebrity guy, thank you for interviewing me. Nice, yeah. So I'm really good at that. But anyway, so I was lucky enough to be able to turn my nerdy hobby into a full-time career in 2.5 years. But that's kind of like the romanticized version of it. In reality, I put up, oh, no, let's not play that again. In reality, I put up my first movie web page back in 1998. It was a Jackie Chan fan web page where there was a picture of his body, and you could click on each body part to find out in which movie he injured himself. It was kind of clever, mostly pretty creepy, but I always just had this desire to go to the internet, share my thoughts on things, but I never stuck with it. So I ran this for like 1.5 years, got up to like 1,000 clicks. Back in the 90s, they had counters on web pages. I got up to 1,000. I believe 990 of those were just me clicking refresh. The other 10 were my mother checking in on me once per month to make sure I wasn't doing anything too weird or embarrassing on the internet. But it didn't go anywhere. All throughout the zeros, I started to have every blog they did. I did the Live Journal era. I did the Zanga era. I did WordPress. I did Blogger, trying to do movie things, trying to do all this different stuff. But I never stuck with it. Even when it comes to my YouTube channel, there was 3 years of false starts before it finally clicked. And so when you kind of look at my story, like some people are like, wow, you had so much success so quickly. Like, how do you become an overnight success? Well, as this fake quote says, it takes 15 years to be an overnight success. Or in the case, like, how on earth did you go full-time on YouTube in 2.5 years? Well, it was easy. It only took me 20 years to do it in 2.5 years. So why do I say all of that? Is that if you've started a YouTube channel or maybe use it to some other creative endeavor on the internet and you're not getting the traction that you want, you're struggling, you're frustrated. That's where I was at for 20 years before I found success on the internet. And so as I go into this, I've been there. And maybe through a certain amount of luck, learning the right pieces of information at the right time, I cracked the code on how I was able to grow on YouTube. And that's what this panel is all about, letting you know what I learned all along the way through a bunch of failures and eventually some success. So when you're getting started on YouTube, that initial phase when you're beginning, your goal is to practice and to meet people. When you're just getting started on YouTube, your goal shouldn't be like, dude, I gotta blow this thing up as quick as possible. Like if you're coming in and you haven't created a ton of videos before, your goal isn't to blow this thing up because most likely you're not very good yet. I'm not trying to be mean, but if you're not growing, you probably haven't come up with the right idea and you're probably not good yet. I told you, I had 20 years of failures and I was like, man, I'm awesome. My mom tells me all the time I'm awesome. Why aren't I growing? Well, you go back and read my early reviews from that Jackie Chan fan webpage. You can still find them on the Internet Wayback Machine. I barely knew the English language. Like I was barely coherent. I wasn't very good. And then I got a little bit better, but it took a long time to actually get good. So when you're starting out, your goal is to get lots of practice. Mr. Beast, a guy that has like 120 million subscribers, which is bananas, he frequently gives people advice. One thing that he said is you have to make 100 videos and improve one thing with each video. Just every time you make a video, think, what's one thing I can make a little bit better? One of my YouTube expert people I follow named Sean Canal, he's got a great name. One of the things he says is you have to build your content creation muscle. When it comes to YouTube, there's so many skills that go into it. Like talking to a camera is weird. Like I have a background in public speaking, and as soon as it was like, now talk to a camera and review a movie, it was like, and you're awkward because it's like weird to be energetic in a room by yourself talking to a camera. It's uncomfortable. You learn editing, making thumbnails. There's so many things that go into it that you just need lots and lots of practice. When you're starting out, it's okay to be a cover band. When you're first starting out on YouTube, it's okay to copy the people that have inspired you. The Beatles, one of the greatest bands of all time, they started as a cover band. They would go and play in bars for hours and hours and hours, playing other people's songs, getting a lot of practice playing together as a team. When you first start playing an instrument, you don't start by writing songs. You start by learning other people's songs. And so when you're starting out, it's okay to take inspiration from the people that inspired you to start, because you just need the practice. You need the at-bats. That's totally fine when you're starting out. We'll come back to that idea, but when you're starting out, absolutely. Just try and, if you can't copy what someone else is doing, you're probably not going to be able to invent this totally new thing. So you just start with the basics of learning the routines of how to do it right. But the other big thing you need to do in those early phases when you're first starting out is just meet people, grow a community. So for me, one of the things I did when I had like 100 subscribers, I tried to find every other new movie reviewer person that had under 500 subscribers. So I would subscribe to every one of their channels. I'd watch one of their videos every single week. I'd leave a comment. I found them on Twitter. I found them on Facebook. Tried to make buddies with everybody. And not just like superficial, like, hey, sub for sub, let's sub for... No, not that stuff. That doesn't do anything. I tried to actually meet people and make friends. So one guy I met when my channel was like 6 weeks old, he's a guy named Cody Leach. He just started literally a month after me, and he reviewed this movie called Bloodfather. We were like the two people that went to go see this Mel Gibson film. And so I went to his channel and was like, all right, I'll leave a comment. I'm going to get to meet this guy. So I literally, you can still find the comment, and I just left, hey, I watched it. I had fun with it too. I love a violent revenge movie. And he responded back to it. This guy's become one of my best friends. And it all started with this comment right here. Last year, I stayed at his house for a week just because I turned 40, and it was like, all right, I'm going to go hang out at my friend's house. And I'd never met him in person before, so I just went out and hang out in his house in Georgia. And then this exact panel, How to Grow a Nerdy YouTube Channel, he led it with me in Orlando, Florida. And then he came out to my house and stayed there last September for a film festival for a week. It started literally with this comment. You're reading it right there. This guy that I spent 3 weeks with last year, once, COVID and everything died down and you could actually hang out with people again. Well, why do I say all this? Like, I met people and I built authentic, real relationships with them. And even as I'm like this same panel tried to do to other fan expos, I'm reaching out to all the people I met 5-6 years ago early on. Along those same lines though, when you're starting out, you don't get a ton of comments. So you can respond to every single comment and just have conversations with people. And here's a pro tip: respond to every comment with a question, because it turns a comment into a conversation where there's a back and forth. And I'll still have people that'll be like, hey, I first subscribed back in November of 2016, and you like responded back on your Doctor Strange video to me, and we had a conversation, and I've been subscribed ever since. That stuff's, it's wild, but people get on social media because it's social. They want to connect with people, especially introverts like me. People think I'm real extroverted. I am not. I'm scared of people. I go to the internet to connect with people. That's why I'm there. And so many other people do the exact same thing. One final pro tip in here for the year 2023. This is for everybody, even if you're a little bit more established. Shorts are the shortest path to growth in 2023. Everyone is making shorts a priority. HubSpot and Think Media said short form media will see the most growth in 2023. YouTube so prioritizing short form videos that they're changing their monetization this year to incentivize people with money, short form videos. And if you don't know what shorts are, those are the vertical videos. So phone mode, and they have to be under 60 seconds. So I edit all mine to 58 seconds to make sure they don't go too long. It's vertical video. Drives me crazy as someone that's been doing video editing for 20 years now to do phone mode that's vertical. That's where the most growth is happening. Everyone's saying it. And the other thing about it is short videos are short. That's why they're called that. And that means they're much easier to create. So you can create more of them in a shorter period of time. And so much of YouTube, so much of growing on the internet is just raw numbers. And the more you can create is the more chances of something going viral. Social media expert guy named Gary Vaynerchuk, he said, short form content is the gateway to long form content, where it's so consumable, it's so easy to digest, and you check it out, and then you go, I like this person, what else do they have? I will say one warning though, what you win people with is what you win them to. So if you quadruple down on shorts, but you really want to do 3-hour-long podcasts, you got to be a little bit careful, because if you grow a subscriber base based entirely on 1-minute videos, people that consume 1-minute videos don't necessarily want to consume 3-hour podcasts. So you have to be a little bit careful in the way that you kind of do all that and balance it out. Make sure you're always offering value in both places. So we're moving right along, and we've got past that first hurdle. You started to get your audience. You're not just a beginner anymore. You're at that next phase, and this is where you're starting to get established. And the important thing is you need to figure out your niche where you can deliver unique value. It's the clarity phase where you start to figure out you and what you can offer the world. Like, people ask all the time, is it too late to get started on YouTube? Well, it's too late to be Mr. Beast. He's already Mr. Beast. It's too late to be Ninja. He's already Ninja. It's too late to be Sean Chandler. I'm already me. But it's not too late to be you if you figure out your great idea. There's another movie YouTuber guy that's been walking around. I think his name is Holden Hardman. He's here at the festival, or was here at least yesterday. He started after me, does something slightly different for me, and his channel's bigger than mine now and growing much faster because he came up with a better idea after I came up with my idea. It's not too late. You just have to find that thing that connects with people. So it's not too late. You just have to find where you offer value. So principle number 1, you must find your focus, your niche. Be known for something. Have something that stands out. The Beatles started as a cover band. They're not famous for being a cover band because they started writing their own songs. And when you're starting out and you need practice, be a cover band. When you're ready to grow, you have to figure out where you uniquely offer value. A guy named Todd Henry says, cover bands don't change the world. So when you're ready to grow, you have to figure out what your thing is. If you make the same videos as everyone else, you compete with everyone else. So if you decide you want to do a movie channel, and so you're going to do movie reviews, go and look for reviews for any movie. There's no shortage of them. There's a bazillion of them, so you don't stand out. You compete against me. And I was already competing against the people like Jeremy Johns and Chris Stuckman that started 5 years before me. And so I couldn't grow doing that. So you have to find the thing that you do that stands out and is different. Be known as the fill in the blank person. So for me, I became known as the ranking guy in the movie space. I didn't mean to be the ranking guy. I don't sit around at my house like, hey, Jennifer, let's make some lists. I want to make some lists. Like I don't do that. I never really thought about being the list guy, but I kind of enjoyed looking at other people's rankings on blogs. And so early on in my channel, I was like, hey, what if I did that as video form? Not like Ranker where it's like a talk, generic brand, but it's me, this guy's opinion on this thing. And I got like 9 months in and I looked at the numbers and I went, all right, when I do a movie review, I get 100 views. When I do a ranking, I get 500 views. I'm not great with math, but I do know 500 is more than 100. What if I double down on the thing that's working? And as it turns out, that little decision right there changed the trajectory of my life. And people all the time are like, yeah, do you just have favorites and make lists? Like, no, I don't. I just found something that apparently I was good at that I have fun doing, but it wasn't like this master plan. I was just paying attention to where I had an ability that connected with people, and somehow I became the ranking guy, which I am 100% totally fine with. So the principle, you must offer unique value. You have to offer unique value. You're asking for people's time, and you can never get time back. Every time someone clicks on one of your videos, they're giving you your time. You need to earn that. So every video needs to be entertaining, useful, or insightful. Every single video. And if you can touch on a couple of those, it's even more powerful. Stop and think about it, like Dude Perfect. I got a family, so we watch Mr. Beast and Dude Perfect all the time. Their channel, not useful at all, not insightful, but really entertaining. A bunch of dudes that throw balls through basketball hoops perfectly, doing insane shots. They do all this wild, crazy stuff. It's incredibly entertaining. Not useful, even watching it, like you don't learn anything. You don't learn how to do what they do. They just have a crazy skill set that's very entertaining. Flip side to that, a few years back, my lawnmower broke. Something was wrong with the carburetor. So I went on to YouTube. I looked up small engine repair, my exact lawnmower. This guy was not entertaining at all. The production was terrible. The audio was terrible, but he knows how to fix the carburetor on a Toro self-propelled lawnmower. And I have one of those. It was very useful. So I kept watching it over and over again. So it ranked really high in search because it was useful. Didn't need to be entertaining. He just needed to solve the problem that I was searching for. And he did that. So you think, how do you offer value? Are you entertaining? Are you useful? Or are you insightful? If you want to share opinions on things, you've got to have a perspective that is useful and interesting. So where do you uniquely offer value? Moving right along, next principle, you must be willing to do what no one else will do. The easier something is to do, the more people are doing it. So just being a talking head movie review channel in my movie space, anyone can do that. Every one of you in your pocket have a 4K video camera. If you're as old as me and you remember video cameras in the 90s, it's incredible what's on every phone. Phones are not phones. They're high-end computers with video editing software just installed right on them. It's just assumed you're going to have an incredible camera on your phone that's in your pocket. So anyone can do just kind of talking head videos. So you compete against all the other people doing that thing that's pretty easy to do. Back to Mr. Beast, gentleman with 120 million subscribers. One thing he said, typically the harder something is to do, the better it will do. So where are you willing to do something that other people aren't willing to do it? There's a couple examples. All my examples are movie channels because I'm a movie guy, so I know the other movie channels. It's a guy named Heavy Spoilers. He crossed the 1 million subscriber mark last year. And so I've interviewed him. I know him a little bit. And one of the things he said, like, hey, I'm not the smartest YouTuber. I'm not the most entertaining YouTuber. I'm the most prepared YouTuber.
There's so many better YouTubers out there than me, but I don't think there's many that are as prepared as me.
If rumors start circulating that they're going to drop a trailer for the new Ant-Man, and they've told us the new Ant-Man is based off this comic run, I go out and I buy that comic run. Before the trailer drops, I read it 2 times. I scan every single image from the comics. I've got it all marked up. So as soon as that trailer drops, I'm going through and comparing the trailer frame by frame with the comic run that they told us. I do all of my homework beforehand. I didn't read the Ant-Man comic. I didn't read the Hawkeye comic before the Hawkeye trailer dropped a year and 3 months ago. I didn't do that. He did that. He's got over 1 million subscribers. Why? Because he does the hard work. He does the research so he can do these ending explains. He can do these Easter egg hunts. He does the hard work. One of my friends named Zach Pope, whenever these Marvel shows drop, he's a young guy in his mid-20s, so he stays up till 4 in the morning watching the episode as soon as it drops. Then he goes and shoots a video, edits it, posts it. He's the first guy to post his review for all these Disney Plus shows that hear us in Central Time. They drop at 2 in the morning. He stays up. I'm in my 40s. I'm not staying up to watch a Disney show at 2 in the morning, and you do not want me to shoot my video at 3 a.m. like, hey, that's what it would be like. I would have to be incoherent, low energy, but he's young enough he can still do it. I'm not willing to do it. So his videos do way better than mine, even though I'm a little bit more established than him, because he's willing to do something I'm not willing to do. Moving right along. Once you get established,
We invite anyone in costumes to come on up, walk the carpet, and get your free photo taken by the official red carpet photographer. If you want to see the best cosplay,
sorry, it's so loud, I just can't talk.
At the top of the escalators, the show kicks off at 2 o'clock.
Alrighty. Yes. Normally it's just them over there announcing the guy that plays Eddie Munson. You can get his picture taken with him, and they yell it through this loud, noisy speaker, and then everyone goes, ah! But this time it's like the full-blown cosplay competition. So anyway, we're moving along. You've now figured out a niche. You've got a thing where you're going to deliver more value. You're willing to do things other people aren't willing to do, and you're better at it than the average Joe in that space. Next thing you got to figure out is YouTube itself. And the thing about YouTube is their whole goal is to get people to stay on YouTube. So they're spending millions and maybe billions of dollars developing an AI like Skynet to try and guess what videos people want to watch. So whenever you click on YouTube, the page pops up and there's this little second where it pauses before videos pop up. The website pops up before it starts recommending videos. And in that second, while it pauses, that's because their algorithm is doing 1 zillion calculations. And they're looking at your viewing history because they're owned by Google. It's just as creepy as you think. They're looking at your viewing history. They're looking at what just dropped on YouTube. They're looking at what is trending on YouTube. And then they're cross-referencing all of those things with people with a viewing history like yours. And what did they click on in the last hour? And then they try to make the best guesses as to what you want to watch. That's how YouTube works. And sometimes they're super creepy about the way that you're like, wow, how did they know I'd want to watch that? That's what they're spending millions and billions of dollars to figure out. How do we keep you on YouTube? And sometimes it's kind of crazy. So whenever the show Cobra Kai first dropped, I put out this video with this amazing thumbnail and that pretty face. Put out a video talking about the Karate Kid movies in, I think it was May 2018. And when Cobra Kai first dropped, it was only on YouTube Red. And the only person that signed up for YouTube Red was me. No one and them. We're the 2 people that signed up for YouTube Red because it was like a failed little experiment that they did. So Cobra Kai, the first 2 seasons was like this cult thing that only a handful of people talked about. So I dropped this video to coincide with the release of Cobra Kai. And it got like 20,000 views, which if you're starting out, it's probably, wow, 20,000. Like it's in the one sense a lot, But for me at the time, I felt like it underperformed, and I understand 20,000 like that. With all my years in blogging, nothing got close to those numbers. So I understand that it can, like, that's a good number. But for where I was at, I was like underwhelmed. Jump forward, Netflix buys Cobra Kai, and it debuts on Netflix. And all of a sudden, it's no longer on YouTube Red, which no one has. It's on Netflix, which everyone has. So this small little cult show explodes. YouTube's trying to guess what people want to watch. So this video that I put out that was a little blip and disappeared 2.5 years after I dropped it. I don't know if you can, like, how well you can see this. There's this one little dot where it's at the front of the line where day I dropped it, it did okay, and then it goes flat. And then 2.5 years later, you see this gigantic mountain where when Cobra Kai dropped on Netflix, all of a sudden, YouTube starts to figure out people are looking for Karate Kid content. People are looking for Cobra Kai content. So my video takes off and ended up getting 160,000 views. Quite a bit better. 8 times the numbers 2.5 years after I dropped it, because YouTube is trying to guess what people want, and they're very, very good at it. So you want to figure out how do I work with that crazy, creepy AI that they have that does all of that? At the end of the day, it's very simple. YouTube wants people to click and stick. And that you don't hear that and go, really? They want people to click on videos? Really? They want them to stick around? Like, I know it's very simplistic, but it's kind of like when it comes to dieting and fitness, everyone wants the secret. At the end of the day, the secret is your diet and exercise. Like, you got to eat right and you got to move your body. Like, every diet at the end of the day has those 2 ingredients. When it comes to YouTube, everything boils down to you have to be able to make videos that get people to click. But it's not good enough that they just click. They actually have to stick around and watch the entire video. And it's so simplistic. But at the end of, like, that's it. If you can do that, if you can figure that out, your videos will do well. So if you want people to click, you need an enticing idea, title, and thumbnail. You have to come up with an idea that is interesting and which stands out. You need an idea that's clear. People need to be able to see it and go, I understand what that is. This is one of the things that Mr. Beast is great at. I buried myself alive for 48 hours. And you go, what? What? That's not a good idea. And he did. He's buried himself alive for 48 hours and had like a tube, and his friends were like farting into it to like torture him. It's crazy to me, but he actually was feet underground for 48 hours, and he filmed it. He's got all these GoPros in there and everything. Simple concept. You get it, and it makes you go, what? How do you do that? So the idea, it's clear. Just because you have an idea that's clever isn't enough. It has to be something that people can easily understand. People recommend ideas to me all the time. Like, you should do this. This is so wild, crazy, and different. It's like, that is, but no one knows. Like, I have to have a conversation with you to get you to understand what the concept is. Right along the same idea, you need titles and thumbnails which tease the brain. You need a title and thumbnail that creates an itch in people's brain that cannot be scratched until they click on the video. And this is where, like, the idea of clickbait comes in. There's people that are great at creating things like, you won't believe which celebrity died this year. And they've got a picture of Hugh Jackman. And you're like, you know, I'm 99% sure Hugh Jackman's not dead. But they created that itch in your brain that you go, I got to find out, is Hugh Jackman really dead? And you click on it. And of course, Hugh Jackman's not dead. If Hugh Jackman was dead, you would know Hugh Jackman was dead. But that's what clickbait is, where they're great at lying to you to tickle your brain a little bit. But the problem with it is that they lied to you. Having an enticing idea that creates that little itch in the brain, that's what you want to do. A friend of mine, his channel's named Film Speak. He's great at this, where he has these thumbnails that just look beautiful. He studied graphic design. He's great with just these beautiful thumbnails. But then his videos they're video essays that are kind of movie reviews, but they have very clear theses that are always bold, in which case they're polarizing. And so They're like these one-word, clear ideas that immediately step on your toe or make you go, yeah, that's right. So 2 of his videos in the last couple of years got over 1 million views. So the last Fast and the Furious movie, those people go see those by the millions. He called it a disaster. So all the fans of Fast and the Furious are like, what? How dare you? And all the people that watched it and were like, cars in space? Cars in space? Are you freaking kidding me? All those people are like, yeah, it is a disaster. And he just comes up with them with these bold statements that immediately elicit a reaction from you as the viewer. And because the thumbnail looks so good, there's a perceived professionalism. And so he's just exploded over the last 2 years because he's great at coming up with titles and thumbnails. And he will text me 5 titles and 5 thumbnail designs and ask me, which thumbnail do you like the best? Which word? The word that's going to be on the thumbnail, he'll ask me, and we'll like engineer it and try and come up with the right word to put on the thumbnail and the right title that just creates that itch in the brain where you go, that's interesting. And he spends enormous amount of time on the titles and the thumbnails because you have to get people to click. Flip side, if you want someone to stick, you need to deliver on the value promised in the title and the thumbnail. You have to actually deliver. Remember clickbait? No, Hugh Jackman didn't die this year. So you don't want to lie to people. You want to entice them and then deliver on the value promised in the title. So my first year of my channel, my most viewed video was my trailer reaction for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, where I was the first person to get my trailer reaction out because I did it live. And so all these people clicked on it. And it got like 20,000 views, which was huge during my first year. It's like, this is awesome. There's only one problem. It's the worst video on my channel. To this day, it's the worst video I've ever made, but it got a lot of clicks. So let's see if you can spot a few reasons why this might not be a very good video as a trailer reaction. So just looking at the image right off the bat, the way I did the trailer reaction, because I didn't have the tech right, I grabbed 2 phones. I held one phone up to the camera and I held one up to my face and I tried to push play at the same time. That's a terrible idea. Mildly clever, not a good idea, but clever. And so I did this. My son, who's running the camera right over there, he walks in and he's just, hey, Dad. And I'm like, son, I got to do this trailer action. I'm going to get mine in the first out. So he's just there digging for treasure in his nose. He's just going for it. So son is picking his nose, filmed it like this. But the other thing, I didn't know how to do live streams at the time, so I figured all of my settings wrong. So the whole video, the audio is going. And the reality is, people will put up with low quality video. No one will put up with bad audio. They're out of there. As soon as you have crackling, they're like, I'm out of here. So everything about this video was terrible. YouTube gives you, they have this thing called audience retention. Once again, it's owned by Google. It's creepy as you can be. They track exactly what people watch from the videos. And what you can see is in the very first minute of the video, it just does this. Boo! And everyone left instantly. It started and they're like, what is this? The guy doesn't even know how a mic works. And then a little boy walks in, starts picking his nose. And then I'm like, let's do this trailer reaction and put 2 cameras up. Who's sticking around till the end on that video? It's terrible. So my audience retention was awful. And of all the videos in my first year, this is the one seen by the most people, but that means I made an awful first impression to 20,000 people. 20,000 people went, wow, he might be the worst YouTuber on the platform. He is the worst at this. So even though I got them to click, it's not good enough. You actually have to deliver value. You actually have to be good and get people to stick around till the end. So moving into, got just a few more minutes on here. Final little section, moving into the mastery phase, where you really start getting into tactics that optimize for incredible, incredible growth. And when I start talking about tactics, they're objective. So people like the tactics. They like it when I say, here's how I structure my videos to get people to watch more videos. They love that because it's objective. Coming up with ideas That's tricky. And you don't know what's a good idea, you don't know what's a bad idea, but you can follow the formula of how to structure a video. So people love tactics, but the tactics don't work until you do the first part. Once you figure out how to get people to click and stick, then the tactics really work. So that's why this is the mastery phase when I get into the specific stuff, because you have to do the ambiguous part first, the hard part of coming up with great ideas, figuring out where you offer value. That has to come first. But what's your goal when you figured out your niche, you figured out YouTube and how to do analytics, figured out how to get them to click and stick? Your job is to create binge opportunities. YouTube wants people to stay on YouTube. So if you can create content that gets people to stay on your YouTube channel, YouTube goes, I like this guy. Let's promote his videos, her videos to more and more people. So you want to create binge opportunities where people discover your channel and they go down the rabbit hole. If you spend any time on YouTube, you've had this happen where you find a new channel. It's like, oh, I really like this guy. I really like this girl. And you watch like 5 of their videos in a week and you fall in love. That's what you want to figure out how to do. So first pro tip, if you want to create binge opportunities, know exactly which video you want people to watch next when you record your video. Know what you're sending them to. Think about it in terms of like, all right, this video is about this subject. What's the next step? What will they want to watch next? Go into the video thinking that way because you want to create a scenario where they watch multiple videos. Like a lot of people spend like when's the perfect time in a video to ask people to subscribe? Well, asking someone to subscribe is like asking someone to commit to you in a relationship. Normally, you ask them out on a date first. Like, let's give this a whirl, and then let's do the DTR and define the relationship and make it Facebook official. You don't start making it Facebook. You don't walk up like, hey, can I mark on Facebook that you're my girlfriend? That's awkward. But maybe ask them out for coffee first. You start. That's what kind of this process is. So my thought is, I'm not going to emphasize asking you to subscribe because if you're just started watching, why would you subscribe? You haven't seen the value yet. No. I'm going to try and get you to watch 3 videos, and that's way more powerful than asking someone to subscribe. Next thing you want to do, think in series. Think in series. You want to think, how do I not just create one video, but I want to create a series of videos that people will watch so they all go together. The video ends, and you point them to the next one. That's the way you want to think about it, not just a standalone video. How do I create that binge session? How do I create the rabbit hole for them to go down? And right around those exact same ideas, know the tent poles in your space, in your niche. I talk about movies in particular. I talk about big blockbuster movies. So a year back, a little film came out called Spider-Man No Way Home. That was a massive tentpole for me. So I went, what's every video I can do about Spider-Man that I can, like it was a week straight of Spider-Man. And so I just think, that's the series right there. Someone likes the first one, they'll like the second one. You think, what are the things people go crazy about? If you've been here long enough, you've been hearing them talk about Stranger Things photo shoots. Last summer, Stranger Things was huge for me. What's every video I can do about Stranger Things? People go bananas for Stranger Things. And I think about that. What is that viewing session? What is that series that I can create to get people to not watch one, but watch 2 videos? And then the other thing that goes into this, as I like to think about it, is content loops. In every one of those Spider-Man videos, I said, hey, I'm going to do a spoiler-free review. Couple days once the movie comes out, I'm going to do a spoiler review. Then I'm going to rank all the movies. Then I'm going to rank all the Spider-Man. Be on the lookout. Those are coming. Then when I start putting those videos out, I say in the video, before people, you can look at your audience retention and see when people leave. Before people leave, right before they leave, I say, hey, this past week, I already talked about all the movies. I already talked about all the Spider-Man. Come back in a couple days. I'm talking about villains. Every one of the videos is an on-ramp, but it also points to every other video in the series. And so I'm promoting all my videos in it to make it super easy to remove any barrier from someone discovering more content. If you join and watch this video as the first video you've ever seen on my channel, I want to make it very easy for you to discover all the other cool stuff on my channel that you might like. So how does this play out? Your channel's been around for a while and you've figured out a niche. You've kind of discovered that space where you think you can offer more value. For me, it was in May of 2017, I decided to be the ranking guy. So I just started putting out rankings every week, and it worked. So I started putting out 2 rankings every single week. So I built this kind of back catalog. And I was growing faster, but I didn't explode. Jump forward 6 months. Thor Ragnarok comes out. Big tentpole film. I'm going to make a series of videos right afterwards. I put out a video, and it explodes. It ends up not getting 20,000 views, which would have been awesome. It got 300,000 views, which was really, really, really awesome and literally changed the trajectory of my life because 300,000 new people discovered my channel. And I'd created an archive of other content. So some of those people, let's say 5%, 10% of those people decided they liked me and wanted to watch a second video. Well, that's thousands of people. And every one of those people that clicked on a second video, YouTube goes, wait a minute, they watched not 1 video, but 2 videos? So then YouTube, for the next 2 weeks, chases them around YouTube, recommending my videos to them, cross-referencing their viewing history with that 6-month archive of content in a niche, and it keeps trying to guess which video they will like that comes out next. And all of a sudden, I stopped growing by like 3 subscribers per day or 10 per day. It was hundreds per day, and it changed the trajectory of my life. As a guy that had been trying to have a movie channel since 1998 with my Jackie Chan fanway page, it never worked. Till I figured out this YouTube thing and the algorithm. So why do I say all this? Why do I get passionate about it? Legitimately, I've always just liked to share my opinions on the internet. I like to hear other people's opinions. It was just a hobby. I didn't think it was going to be a career, and I didn't think I'd be here today talking to all of you about how it changed my life. But it did. This isn't tricks and gimmicks. It's understanding how to grow a brand, how YouTube works, and align those 2 things together. Thank you guys so much for coming out to hear me speak. I'll be right over here if you want to ask any specific questions, if you want to meet me, say hello, any of that fun stuff. And I greatly appreciate it. Thank you so much for coming out. It really does mean the world to me. And I'm only 5 minutes over on my time.